last time I did computer and it turned out good. So I'm just going to do record to the computer. So I probably, because I'm going to give you so much time to introduce yourself, I probably won't read any bio for you. I'm just going to say what we're talking about, do a
Okay.
quick intro. You'll just kind of be on screen from the get go kind of thing. Sound good?
All right. Sounds good.
All right, here we go. Hey, everybody, and welcome to today's conversation with Mike Felix, Solutions Consultant and Sales Engineer at Act On Software, their marketing automation platform built on and run by a team that really knows marketers. And I'm so excited to be hosting this conversation today. I'm Stephanie Zielinski from Inside.com. And Mike, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you have this phrase that you have coined, and it's biology. So today we are going to use that term to frame this interesting conversation about today's consumer shopping behaviors. How do consumers buy online today? So could you open it up with telling us about your career journey so far?
Okay. Now I do have to open it up by saying I didn't coin that term. There's actually a book
Oh, it's
called
from somewhere.
Biology. Yeah. So
Oh, let me look
it's
up
pretty
that
cool.
book.
Yeah, there's a book called Biology. It was published years ago. I'm pretty sure they need to have a revision by now, but
Mm-hmm.
very cool topics on just sales, marketing, and just the psychology of consumers. So
Okay, so
um
that's Martin Lindstrom 2010, Truths and Lies About
yeah,
Why We Buy. It's cool because it's always evolving. Like right now
yeah.
it's March 2024, and we could have this conversation like every 6 months, and this would be a totally new topic.
Absolutely, absolutely. There are so many things that have changed, and we'll jump into some of those in a little bit. But I'm thinking back in 2010, I had just graduated college. My background's in engineering, and I started my first job was in visual engineering. And one of the reasons why I think that's important to at least mention is because your site and where you place your attention matters when it comes to marketing. So, long story short, engineering journey led me into falling in love with sales and marketing. And one of the reasons why I love what I do now as a solutions consultant is because I get to marry the two. So my analytical side, being able to identify technical value that may be delivered by using certain tools and matching that with how companies want to automate these processes and accelerate how fast customers go through certain journeys is what I do now. So Acton's an amazing company, definitely looking forward looking when it comes to applying AI and different
Mm.
technologies to marketing automation. So I'm having a lot of fun being a part of that journey.
That's a great background. Visual engineering. What exactly did that look like? What were you building and working on early in your career?
So in the Department of Defense, there's an entire division on modeling and simulation.
Mhm.
So instead of putting a new pilot in a $22 million jet, they put them in like a really cool video game where we get to simulate what it's like to fly certain types of aircrafts and put them into different scenarios that they
Mhm.
may be in during maybe combat or during a mission. So my
Wow.
role as a visual engineer was to study display systems and um, to everything that's associated with what they see was what I was responsible for. So
Wow.
really cool role. I basically was creating video games.
Yeah, this is only, this area is only advancing because XR and AR are
Yeah,
reaching new heights right now. So the way that we interact with computers is just going to become more visual and in new ways that we've never thought of. That's really cool. And you're talking about, that left brain and right brain side of yourself being satisfied by the type of marketing work that you do now. And I know Acton really specializes in automation. So, when did automation start to come up in your career? You went from this visual engineering, started to really get into sales and marketing. What's the timeline of automation in marketing?
so I mean, automation has always, well, not always been there. Automation has been there for years. When it comes to how it lined up with my own career, I got into, I would say, the entry level part of automation when the cost of it started to go down. So years ago, if you wanted to do marketing automation, you needed to be on an enterprise level. You need to have at least $500,000 allocated in order to
Mm.
have a certain type of software to automate marketing. Now, that's changed, right? So you have a lot more competitors coming into the space, but the needs have also changed. So in between Acton and my initial engineering career, I started to work with a lot of small business owners on getting them started in marketing automation. So I would put them on very simple platforms like Active Campaign and Constant Contact, and I would get them to understand the value in uh, uh, getting a lead and then sending a lead an initial set of messages, and
Yep.
then just at least having a cadence to correspond with those leads, and then of course churning sales out of them. Now within Acton, it's not just a matter of, okay, an email was sent every few days. The emails are triggered based off of so many other things: behavioral activity, social activity, where they are inside of a buyer's journey. So there's so many different things now that has made marketing automation a lot more advanced.
Oh, I'm excited to dive into this because you're right. It used to just be like, here's an email funnel. And in the 2010s, it makes
Yeah.
sense that those, all of the online training for how to do this and people that were helping you do this was popular because it was finally affordable to a small business owner. But
Mm-hmm.
now the next generation of that is so much more complex. So
Yeah.
let's just start with the consumer. Let's talk about who is buying online today and how they're buying and how the 2020s today is different than the 2010s in terms of consumer behavior.
So I would there are a couple different, I would say, buckets. There are those consumers that are buying things for the home. They're buying things for their personal lives. And then you have on the enterprise level, you have people that are shopping for business solutions and like enterprise tools, and they're shopping differently. The consumers, they're they're being presented with things that are highly personalized and aligned with their interests, which was very different than in the past. Like, and not to date myself, but um, years ago, I could still remember the Saturday morning television cartoon shows, and I'm sitting there, and I'm every kid in my time zone is watching the same show at the same time. Mattel can come along and say, hey, all I need to do is outspend everyone else, and I'm presenting ads at the same time to these kids. And now on the consumer side, it's very different, right? Like whether if you're a boy or a girl, you're seeing different ads. If you're in
On
one home
YouTube.
in one time zone on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah.
I asked my son, hey, don't you want to change the channel? And he said, what is that? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
On TV. He
On
didn't know what a
TV.
channel was.
He
How old
doesn't
is
know what a
he?
channel is. He's 7.
Yeah,
So
channels too mainstream. The
it's
niches are
too,
just so niche down now.
yeah. So he's like, oh, you mean like a YouTube channel? And I'm like, oh, yeah, YouTube channel. I'm sorry. So, like, everyone is being presented with content differently now. It's highly personalized based off of your interests. So, a lot of that matters, especially on the consumer side. When when someone is purchasing something that's on the enterprise level, it's not as straightforward. It's based off of a lot of it could be based off of what blog posts they're consuming, what search terms they're putting into their search engines, what their emails are comprised of. So there's so many things that's driving what would determine that level of intent versus the consumers who are like, I'm having allergy issues. Let me search for something. And now I'm getting a bunch of ads on Facebook for a nasal irrigation system. And it's like, wow, let me click on this link to check that out. Oh, now I'm on Amazon. Oh, I can pay for this over the next 6 months. Okay, cool. Let me do so the
Nasal spray.
everything has changed so much because
Mhm.
it's so easy to consume now.
How do you define an enterprise company? I like asking people about their different definitions because generally it's like, oh, it's a company with 2,000 employees. But what do you think?
I would consider an enterprise offering or an enterprise solution to be anything that requires multiple levels of approval.
Mm,
So
okay.
if I'm looking to make a purchase and I need to get a couple signatures to make it happen, I would consider
Yeah.
that close to enterprise. Um, Anything that I could just pull out a credit card and just buy, even if it's called an enterprise solution, that's more of a consumer purchase. Like, oh, it's $5,000, but I don't need to ask anyone else for permission. There's no process associated with the consumption of that thing. I would say that's more on the consumer side. But then right after 5,000, right after 10,000, if it's a $40,000 offering and you need to get buy-in from your CFO, the CFO needs to run some things by accounting. They have to move you to procurement. Yeah, that's I would consider that to be enterprise.
Okay. So I can kind of get an idea of like the size of the companies, like the amount of revenue they're bringing in, the type of products they sell when you're talking about an enterprise company.
Yeah, yeah. And you could look at the revenue side as well. The size of the company. Yeah, you could look at that as well. Some large organizations, they're still running like they don't always have to go through procurement to buy a packet of pens, right? So
Yeah.
if it's a large company and they're buying pens, is it still an enterprise purchase? No, so
Gotcha.
there's a couple different variables, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's learn more about the consumer behaviors of these enterprise companies, not a personal consumer, but like how companies are buying software, for example, today. So we've talked a little bit about automation and we talked about how in the past, just that like email drip or an email funnel was enough. What are all the pieces of the puzzles today for companies that sell to enterprise companies?
So great question. There are a number of variables now. Um, Now you're doing a lot of data driven activity now. So and there are so many channels to read to determine the intent of whoever that stakeholder is. Because normally on the enterprise side, there's some I like to say that there's someone that's responsible for being the scout. So this individual within their scope of responsibility is to find a solution to a problem. So they have to go out and they have to find a. So what they do, they'll start to search for things. They'll start to ask questions on social media. They'll start to opt into webinars. They'll make the decision to attend or not. They'll make the decision to open and read and click on links within emails. And all of those activities start to have sort of a weight to them.
Mm,
Based off of what those weights are, you could presume where that individual would be in their journey of consideration. Then
mhm.
after that, you have other sales activity that has to happen. So in the marketing automation space, in order to read some of those indicators, it's a matter of having a pulse on a lot of them and then bringing a lot of that data in so that you could figure out what that individual's next step should be. So we brought up the point of emails, right? In the past, sending an email, it was just about sending an email. Everybody got the same email. Then we entered into this space where everybody got the same email at a different time. Now we're in this space where there's an email that has 7 different variations of content within it. And depending on where that individual is within their buyer's journey and what they've done, they're seeing a different rendering of that email. So within Acton, like we have the ability to dynamically change content based off of whether or not someone has opted into a webinar or they've attended a certain number of events or they've triggered a certain amount of activity, and all of that matters when it comes to moving them closer to making a buying decision.
Wow. Okay. Now I'm starting to see where AI comes in because the webs of these like sequences are
Yes.
so complex. We cannot do this with our human brain. So, how does Acton use AI?
So, I mean, you led right into it. We using our human brain. Well, you know what? I'm gonna say I'll say we can use our human brain. It'll just take 8 years to do
A
something,
long
So
time. Yeah, to map it all
just
out.
and it'll be riddled with mistakes, and it'll be riddled with So we're leveraging Act on a couple different ways. For one way is to develop content and to drive the creation of assets that are being produced for marketing. So within the platform, you have the ability to create content using AI. The second way we're using AI is to generate data and insights based off of the performance of different campaigns. So after your campaign is running for a certain amount of time, there are indicators or there are insights that need to be generated that in the past you needed a data analyst to come in and start drafting all of these insights in a Power BI tool or some data analysis tool. Now we're leveraging AI to be able to do a lot of that work for you. So there's cross correlation indicators, there's outlier indicators in the data to show you that there are keywords that you may be putting in a subject line that decreased your open rate over the past 6 months. And that's also correlated with the size of the emails that you're sending out. And that's also correlated with the time that you're sending out these emails. So optimizing how you're sending things out and what data is driving like a better performance is how we're leveraging AI. And third, when everyone that you're sending messages to, you're sort of putting them in different buckets. So, and the technical term is segmentation. So contact and lead segmentation, you're putting everyone into different buckets and you're categorizing them based off of different attributes. Well, in the past, we would start to categorize everyone very linearly. And we would say, well, based off of how we want to segment them, this is what I think makes sense. Well, we're leveraging AI to be able to make sense out of things that we didn't know made sense. So we could see that, and just as a quick example, we may say, well, we want to segment based off of the highest open rates over a period of time. But because Acton is connected to your CRM, Acton would say, well, this segment that we created over here led to the most sales within that same period of time. So
Oh,
this segment had the highest open rates, but 90% of them were not buying. That little
I
10% you weren't paying attention to.
I have heard of this trend when AI starts to replace the data analyst at a company, it starts to see trends that are just out of the ordinary that we
Yeah.
wouldn't usually see.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's you said it. It's what we see. And AI isn't going off of sight and time. AI is going off of a very empirical, objective approach towards data. And that's why there are some very subjective arguments around that interpretation. But in the business world, they're looking at revenue. So,
Sales. Yeah.
did I make more sales? Yes. What can I attribute that to? You can attribute that to what the AI module just did. Awesome. I want four more of them, right? So,
Wow.
versus someone that comes in and every quarter there's some reason why the sales didn't hit a certain point, and you having this, let's say you're an empath, you're like, oh my gosh, you know what, that made sense. Wow. you know I I'm gonna accept that reason you just gave me. AI is not
Wow.
giving reasons, AI is just making it
Mm-mm.
happen.
No,
But
I was just reading the experience on Twitter that someone was sharing that there's someone that tests Claude, the AI built by Anthropic, and
mhm.
they were running, they were trying out a problem with Claude, and Claude pretty much said like that was too easy. Like what you asked me to find was like so unrelated to the rest of the data that you gave me. Like you should do better on like the problems. So it's
It's
like
yeah,
in the
it
marketing
is.
world. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It is definitely changing. It's changing a lot. But you know what? One thing that I've noticed in the marketing world, so technology moved us into this creator era. So there were a ton of tools that were created or they were developed in order to help us create. Now with AI, there are tools that are helping us through, like, we have to get better at commanding. So instead of being the
Mm,
creator, we have to be the commander now. So
yeah.
it's not about how well you can use a tool now. It's about how well you can create in a tool anymore. It's about how well you can command the tool. So,
Yeah. Are you giving it the right objectives that align with the
right,
objectives of your company? If you have the power of act
exactly.
on, like, are you pushing all the buttons that lead to optimizing sales?
Exactly, exactly. So, and we one thing that I like about Acton as well is, like, when we're not just a software company, we're a solutions based organization. So, um a lot of tools, it's like a chef having different knives, right? Like, it's not about the knife itself, it's about how you're guiding the knife. It's about what recipe you're following. So we have an amazing team of professionals on every level in Acton to help organizations with understanding how to leverage it to get the
Oh,
most out
good.
of it. So
Oh,
it's
that's helpful.
it's not just a software, where it comes with the team as well.
Oh, good. Now, you have an engineering background, and we've been talking about the capabilities of AI. I wonder how much you're allowed to, like, lift the hood of the AI that Acton uses. Like, what is it? How does it work?
Yeah, I don't know how much I can disclose. I don't know how
Confidential.
much outside of what can be seen, because there are so many things that there's so many things that we're releasing in phases. So we're applying AI to how content's created. We're applying AI to how insights and reports are generated. We're applying AI to how your segments are created. So and we're also applying AI to where you're attributing revenue to. So I mean, there's so many different places. But the technology behind it, yeah, I don't know how much I can disclose. Because
Since
we
I
have
know
some
you
pretty.
understand, you have some pretty powerful stuff. Since I know you're an engineer and you're one of the few people out there in the business world that actually know, like, how it all works, for all of the viewers that are very techie and nerdy about this stuff, can they, like, message you and try and get more of a scoop about the technology?
They can try. Yeah, I'll point them in the right
Where did they
direction.
go? Okay, they can get to you, and then you can
Yeah,
get
I
them
can
on
definitely
whatever
point
call
them
they
in the
need.
right. Yeah, if they want to learn more about how we are applying AI within the tool, I could definitely point them to someone else within our actually, because I'm on the sales engineering side. So I would say I have more business conversations than the techie engineering conversations. Um, but there are some people who can kind of nerd out on how AI is being applied within Acton, but also within just the marketing automation space
Yeah,
overall.
this conversation is so interesting to the business savvy salespeople, to the technical AI engineers, to the chief information officers, but it's
Yeah.
also so important to the marketers out there. There are so many marketers that are, like, becoming more and more responsible for the revenue of the company, climbing the corporate ladders, getting those executive roles. So, for our marketers out there, no matter what level they're at, what do they need to know right now about how marketing is changing, how consumer behaviors are changing? Like, obviously, Acton is going to be extremely helpful, but what else could they DIY if that's the stage they're at? If their revenue is low and they want to up their marketing skill set, how could they use AI to do that now?
Um, that's a great question. Great
There's like
question.
10 questions
And
in there.
I
Sorry.
and I hate to give it depends answers, but
Yeah.
there are, I would say, like, if I were to speak to 50 marketers, they all have different objectives based off of the organization they're
Mm.
in. So what I've
Hmm.
noticed just having conversations with hundreds of marketers is that, like, if you know where your lane ends, then you can be clear on what that objective is. So some marketers within some organizations, they're responsible for revenue. Others, they're graded based off of how many opportunities they're getting to the sales starting point.
Yeah. Hmm.
So one CMO is very much concerned about revenue. Another CMO is very much concerned about sales taking the baton and leading the way. Another CMO may be highly concerned with how much it's costing to drive those sales. So every marketer should first and foremost understand the business. They should understand the cost of the opportunity and also the cost of the solution. So shopping for a marketing automation like software solution should not be based off of price. A lot of it should be based off of what the opportunity is on the other side of applying it. So every marketer should understand what that opportunity is so that they can know what their return should be in applying this solution to their particular business.
Honestly, you had a great answer embedded in there. And, what I heard is no matter what stage of your marketing career you're at or what kind of business you're a marketer for, define those objectives. Like what's so important is that every marketer knows what they're responsible for, knows the goals that they're tasked with. I think that that's a great place to start for any marketer. If that's ambiguous in your company, that's a next step, because then you can start, getting the best solutions with the ever evolving technology that's out there for marketers.
Yeah. And it'll also help with getting the most out of, a company like Acton, or a solution like Acton. We don't have very many companies that are coming looking to have a transactional relationship. It's all, hey, we really care about growing the company in this way.
Yes.
And you'd be surprised how many of our team members, like, we're going above and beyond to do due diligence, not just on marketing, but also on other solutions that surround where Acton would be placed in their company. So, and that's why we have customers who have been with us for years, because it's not just them buying a tool. It's like, man, like, I have my business review with Acton, and I'm sharing some new challenges that I'm facing. When it comes to tools, I've heard years ago, sometimes today's solutions create the next level problems when you get to that level. So once our customers are reaching new heights, they start to reach new challenges, and we're always there to help them out. So
no, that's cool. So as we start to come to a close, I'm curious about the trends in online consumer behavior. We can, niche it down to that enterprise type of buying that happens, but do you have any metrics or data around how customers are making decisions differently? I think in the past, there was that trope of like, oh, the exposure has to be 28 times. You have to be exposed to a company to eventually make the purchase. What are consumer behaviors like now? Do they have to be influenced by an influencer to make the purchase? What do you have to say about that?
A lot of these purchases now are based on trust. And I wish, normally I have a bunch of data points to throw out there, but that's also another thing that I'm noticing is less. It's not that it's less important, but it's that these organizations are making more trust-based decisions. And like, how they say, like, they're making a decision from their gut, or some are making decisions from their gut. In this space, when it comes to consumers, their gut is driven based off of who's been controlling their attention, who's been moving the needle with regards to educating them on making a more fluid and well thought out decision, and who's creating clarity on what that opportunity is on the other side of it. So when you're able to create clarity, and when you're able to be clear on what that opportunity is, I think that's really driving how consumers are advocating and serving as a champion for your organization or for your solution. Those champions come about because it may be because they've consumed a certain number of hours of content of yours. It may be, especially in our case within the marketing automation space, some people buy based off of tactics and tools and tips that we've leveraged ourselves, right? So we noticed that somebody hit the site at 8:00 today. They got a phone call by 8:30. By 9:30, they received some additional insight on what they initially came to inquire on, right? Like just the fact that that sequence of activity happened, there are companies that's like, I want that.
Yeah,
So
amazing. Who wouldn't?
so we have to be able to model that level of clarity so that they can know what that's going to drive after they make the decision to to consume whatever it is that they're looking for.
That education piece really stands out to me because all of these tools and technologies are only getting more and more advanced. There's so much to know, and consumers are just going to need more and more education in the future, like
Yeah.
with the supplements that AI can give us to creating profitable companies. I mean, every single day there are new things to learn. So I agree
Yeah.
with you that like those purchasing decisions have so much to do with like where are you getting your learning, where are you learning about all these new ways that you can level up your company. I think it's awesome that Acton has a piece of that puzzle too. Do you guys have a blog or education section on your
We do.
website where people can keep learning?
We do. We do. Yeah. So if you go to act-on.com, there is a blog section where we're constantly posting articles on, different things in the industry that's changing, considerations to make, um, factors to consider. So yeah, there's a ton of content on there.
Great. And where can everyone go if they want to just like get a hold of you or learn more about Acton or take a next step?
So if you want to get in contact with me directly, it's mike.felix at acton.com, act-on.com. Um, if anybody is an organization that's looking to take a peek at the software, I mean, you could simply hop onto the website and schedule a demo.
Okay.
There will be one conversation prior to, just so that I can tailor the system to be able to model it the best and show you how you would get the most out of it, because there are so many different ways to utilize it. But that's another way to get in contact with me, by scheduling a demonstration.
Oh, cool.
Um, so yeah.
Every demo is going to be with you?
No, not every demo, but we have within the company um we have about 4 solutions consultants. So I'm able to see everybody coming in. So if it's not me, it's
Okay.
somebody else highly qualified within our organization to do a demo.
Okay, wonderful. Um, sorry, I'm going to pause real quick. I'll cut this out because I had another video playing in my ear. I wanted to wrap this up more seamlessly than I was just doing. Oh yeah, I remember the thought train that I got lost on for a second there. Okay. Um, So those are all excellent next steps. And of course, we have to ask about predictions too. You alluded to earlier the fact that Acton is always developing new technologies. You've got new things coming down the pipeline, and maybe you can't tell us about all of them, but what are your predictions for the future of biology and consumer behavior online?
um well, I have a couple I would say blanket predictions on different ends. uh I'll start with inside of companies. I see marketing departments getting smaller.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely see marketing departments getting smaller. I see the alignment between marketing and sales increasing.
Yeah.
So I see CMOs being responsible for more with less, which leads into the third thing. I see budgets being cut.
Hmm.
Um, I see, or at least leaders being a little bit more strict on where money's being allocated. Um, so on the organization side, I see some of those. I'm predicting some of those things are going to happen. Um, when it comes to the consumer side, I see consumers needing to have a significant amount of validation prior to taking first steps.
Mm.
The number of companies that are just able to kind of pop out with very little social validation, I think is going to be more difficult in the future. Before someone schedules a demo, they're gonna look to see if you're present across multiple platforms. They're
Mm.
gonna look for more social validation. Who else has worked with you, and what results have they received from you?
Mm.
um, they're going to look at how they feel engaging with your brand. You have a lot of companies now they're rebranding because they understand that how people engage with brands now is very different. You know, you have a lot more remote employees. You have people that are conducting support from home. Their storefronts are closing. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's happening behind screens versus at storefronts now. So being able to build that trust as fast as possible is gonna really impact how consumers behave. And I think that from a prediction standpoint, they're gonna look for that validation before making buying decisions.
Really amazing predictions. That makes a lot of sense to me. Any final words for the audience, Mike? Any well, I hate when I just leave it general like that. I'm gonna take this out. Do you want me to just go ahead and wrap it, or do you have anything else to say?
I mean, I know well, first of all, definitely check out that book, Biology.
Oh
Even
yeah.
though it was published back in 2010, there are certain things that are just ingrained in how we consume. And I think there are some things that are still going to hold true. But if anyone is listening is a marketer or even a leader of a marketing organization, you have to keep your finger on the pulse. Like you have to
Yeah.
understand what's coming down the pipeline. AI isn't something that's it's not a trend. I don't think that it's going away. It's something that's going to create the next wave of producers, of performers, especially in the business marketplace. So keeping up with those trends and also ensuring that you're aligning yourself with tools and companies like Acton that are that care about the customer first. And that's not me trying to pitch. There are just a lot of companies out here that are they're acquiring other companies. They're very revenue driven. Everything that they're doing is based off of the shareholders. Just make sure that when you do make purchases, especially for tools, um, like there's a solution that's coming with it, you know. So and also just understand what business you're in. If you're marketing, know that there are objectives that you need to hit, both seen and maybe I'm sorry, both spoken and unspoken. And that's what's going to keep people growing in their own companies and also helping the company grow themselves. So
Yeah, that distinction of a tool versus a solution that comes with a
yeah,
team that's got your back, that's doing these reviews of your whole business and your goals with you, that's super valuable. Um,
extremely.
yeah, great final words for marketer. Actually, this is a lot of editing for me, but I want to like lead into that great final piece that you just said. So I'll say a little blip and then I'll kind of give us a little exit outro. So do you have any final words on marketing automation and AI or advice for marketers? And you don't have to answer that because you already did. Okay.
No,
Mike, thank you so much for hang on, let's start over. Clean wrap here. Mike, thank you so much for your time. You have shared so much valuable knowledge, not just about today, but about the future. I can really start to see where these marketing automation and AI trends are going and how marketers can level up and, achieve those goals that their businesses are trying to achieve.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, everyone, we will see you next time on our inside.com talks. To check out more of our talks, you can go to inside.com/events. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I may or may not leave the events at the end. Sometimes I'm just like inside.com. Let me just stop recording.